Oh, gotta update the stream title, I guess. Okay. Okay. So that's their draft. Bohemians and Burgundians banned for Andy Chen. Britons and Turks banned for WBM 91. So I think as a shortener, I think I might just refer to this guy as Andy and maybe just this guy WBM. Reasonably good drafts overall. I have some reservations about, say, Cumans and possibly Khmer, but Khmer, I mean, they've proven to be pretty good on Clown Arena in the main stage of the gold league, so I'm not too bothered by that. Strange snipe from WBM, sniping Sicilians though. I mean, Sicilians can be dangerous, but against like certain civilizations, but I still think I said like Byzantines or Malay are definitely going to be a lot more dangerous. Even Portuguese, like they are pretty damn good on Clown Arena. Let's see if we can find them. Maybe this might be a little bit more efficient way of finding them. Oh man. So they actually ended up playing early. That's unfortunate. Here I was thinking I was right on time. Turns out not. Well, in its place, maybe I should stream the Clown League set that Draken, or is it Draken and Bloodlust are having right now. So flipping open that draft. What's going on? There's just a time zone thing that I'm not getting? Because I could have sworn these guys were supposed to have their set like tomorrow. Well, I guess a little change of plans here. So Krvemlik versus Juyhou. Let's just update the title. So they just finished their draft. We're seeing both of the Dawn of the Duke civilizations in this draft, both Poles and Bohemians. Bohemians banned, Poles picked, alongside Malay, Vietnamese, Cumans, and Ethiopians. For Juyhou, I'm sure I'm probably not saying that name right, but whatever. Burgundians, Byzantines, Britons, Khmer, Celts. I think I definitely like Krvemlik's draft a little bit better. My big sticking point with Juyhou is probably Cumans. I just have never been a fan of Cumans on Clown Arena, personally. Just think it's really dangerous when, especially at this rating where it's not like the main stage where people are just playing super conservatively. I mean, people are, I think, more inclined to play more aggressively here in the Silver League. So if you're trying to just sit back in 2TC Feudal Boom as Cumans, I think you could be in a lot of trouble in a lot of games. But still, I mean, his other civs are reasonable. Poles can be kind of suspect, I guess. I mean, if you can get to like an Arbalest Obuk combo, they can be pretty deadly. But and their eco obviously is pretty damn strong if you make proper use of those full arcs and everything. But I don't know. I guess we can say it's like a cost-efficient late game. Not so much a pop-efficient late game, but then again, I think it really just depends on how many Obuks you can muster, because if those guys are messed up and you have almost any kind of supporting unit in the back, like, stuff can just melt. Krvemlik getting his hands on Britons, that could be interesting. I think maybe Juyhou, having seen Britons from his opponent, actually picked Vietnamese as a potential counter. Vietnamese can counter Britons. I think it just depends on how they're played out. If Britons get into a position where they're kind of holding on to the middle of the map, they have a castle or two they're hiding behind. They have a bunch of longbowmen parked underneath them and some onagers, then Vietnamese can have a very hard time pushing that. So I think it really just depends on how each civ kind of can take advantage of their respective power spikes. Celts is an interesting pick, because even though I'm not personally a big fan of Celts, but especially against these three civs, Vietnamese, Cumans, and Ethiopians, I think Celts can be a reasonable choice. Vietnamese, they'll have their big window of opportunity to do damage in like early Imperial Age, because they do have a really strong early. Same with Ethiopians, but if they can't seal the deal against Celts there, then like Woad Raider, Siege Ram, I think that kind of army will just completely curb stomp them. Hey, Mike. Glad to see some people are at least coming in. Alright, well, that's enough rambling about the draft. Might as well get into it. Now I don't know actually a whole lot about Juyhou. But in terms of Krvemlik, I did play a few practice games against him a couple days ago just to practice for my set. We're going with Khmer versus Cumans first. Seems pretty standard for everyone, I guess. Not really picking your best civilization to start. Let's see how things go. This could be an interesting one. Oh, he's almost breaking 1800 now. But obviously, he granted this high after he was already signed up, so it's mostly fine. He was like 1740 something when I was facing him a few years ago. Yeah, it's kind of like what I'm wondering myself, because I just don't. I'm just not a big fan of Cumans, man. They've just fallen off. I think it might just be a case of people who signed up for the tourney who I think aren't super familiar with Arena. They just have like a passing knowledge of it, of like how the map works. So what I'm trying to say is maybe their knowledge of it is kind of outdated. And it's definitely true that last year the Cumans were pretty strong on Arena. Like they were played pretty well. But you know, by this point in time, they've gotten a lot weaker because people have just learned how to just deal with them. Either by putting pressure on them early while they're trying to feudal boom, or by just denying them like that forward position. Like that, I was mentioning this in my set yesterday too, where half of Cuman's strength is all about that map control. That, you know, claiming that map control with that forward castle, getting to imp quickly and then tripping your opponent down, and maybe raiding them with kip checks. But if they don't have, if they don't have that forward position, half their strength is just gone instantly. I believe I have one more round before I would meet either of them. So let me check that real quick. Yeah, so I would be facing the winner of Yebin, David, or Quickwall. Wow, that's a big difference in seeding. Is that 3rd seed versus 30th seed? I know seeding is not everything, but that's pretty steep. So if I face either of them, if I were to win, then I can face either of these guys. Well, and if possibly face either of these guys, because they also have another round that they need to get through as well. Yeah, I would definitely be rooting for Krvemlik just based on the fact that I don't know anything about his opponent, Juyhou. Because just as a little bit of a, I guess, spoilers regarding Krvemlik's playstyle, he's a relatively aggressive player. So the thing is, he chose some really aggressively oriented civilizations when we were playing our 3 practice games a few days ago. And so it's kind of curious to me that he's gone for the slightly more defensively oriented civilizations, or at least civilizations that I think have to play more defensively before they can become like offensive powerhouses. Like Celts, that's the case. Really strong late game, but their early imp is like piss weak. So it's kind of like biding your time before you can get that late game going. Britons are also pretty like defensively oriented because they're not the greatest. They're like one of the slowest pushing civilizations, but they can hold territory against a lot of different civilizations like forever. Same with Byzantines, I'd say, yeah, they're rated as a defensive civ, but I think they can definitely be played more aggressively because of that fast imp potential. So we'll see. I mean, he was telling me after the end of our 3-game set that he was looking to, that he basically showed me all of his tricks, and he showed me all the civs he likes to play. So he was saying like he feels he needs to get practice in with some other civilizations. So maybe, I don't know, maybe he got a lot of practice in with others. So maybe he won't be as aggressive as I would anticipate. Oh yeah, Capture Age. I do have it. It's just I just never got in the habit of using it just because I never got in the habit of using it just because it's really heavy on my just seems very resource heavy. An update. Okay. Just sucks that the soundtrack doesn't seem to work with Capture Age, but it is what it is. So Khmer versus Cumans. When I've seen this matchup, I think exactly once or maybe twice before, in like regular ranked arena. And one of the times I saw it was, I think, in the hands of Tato in well, not ranked arena. I think this was in a tournament as well. For Tato played like a really interesting did a really interesting approach with a Khmer where he upped to Castle Age fairly quickly, like not the most quickly, but still relatively quickly. It was like 25, like 26 plus 0 or something, into like an instant stable drop before a siege workshop for like siege. And he just pushed the Cuman while he was still in feudal age. So that was an interesting approach. I'm wondering if Krvemlik, maybe not necessarily doing that, but something more aggressively oriented, because Khmer do have a very strong and very fast Castle Age potential. That's a very saturated board, 11 villagers. It would definitely... yeah, I'm just talking about the civs too much, so I'm not really... So, Juyhou going for the classic feudal boom with Cumans, up on 20 population with 19 villagers. Pretty solid. I want to say solid build, but I was not paying attention to if you really had any idle time or not. That's hit feudal age. 8 villagers, that's a nice number to be building the TC with. I think 8 to 10 villagers is probably ideal, just considering the fact that the TC and feudal age for Cumans build so slowly. Double Bed Axe Horse Collar coming in. Meanwhile, Krvemlik, he's up on 25 population. I hope he remembers to build a house here. Well, actually, no, he wouldn't need it when he clicks. So yeah, he clicks up to feudal age. What am I talking? Like clicks up to Castle Age. What am I talking about? 4 on gold. That's interesting. Because you really only need 3 if you want the 200 gold to click up instantly after hitting feudal ages. If you were Khmer here, are you going to FC into Archers? Khmer don't typically take map control with archers in most games, just because their eco setup is so well suited for like going scouts. But like going archers for map control can work. It just depends on the type of map. Like archers and crossbows for map control, I'd say wouldn't be as strong of a map control strategy on regular arena, just because typically the rush distance is pretty large there. And so if you're in one position, like crossbows are really slow moving units, and if the opponent made a monastery, made a monk to get a relic on the far side while your army's like over here, then you'll never be able to deny that relic. Whereas if you had light cav, you might be able to, even if you were caught out of position like that, because they're pretty fast. But this is a relatively short rush distance, so you could do it. I just don't think it's very likely. Got 2 villagers building a house here. Is he gonna go? No, he's not going to. Okay, he's building a stable. So things could still be up in the air. Maybe, possibly he could be taking that Tato approach. I think it'll depend on what happens after he builds this stable. Just to keep this off the face. You see, the problem is Cumans can be pretty fast with that, and so it's not uncommon to see them be up to imp at like 24 minutes or so, 24 something minutes, and having that forward castle, and that could be a bit of trouble. So personally, what I would like to do, and something I've seen have good success in the hands of running, a pretty high level arena player, but I saw he was in a matchup of Mayans versus Cumans once, and he just went like, I think it was 3 range skirm in late Castle Age, and he just made enough skirms to be able to push that castle back. And so his opponent, who I think was who was it? I think it was I think it might have been Cloud. Yeah, it was. Yeah, I think it might have been him. So he was forced to build his castle more at home, and he just lost all his momentum. So I think that's like one of the approaches I would do, especially if I were like a bit of a slower kind of a civilization. For like eco-wise and imp timing-wise, I think I would probably do something like that. Because again, it's all about the momentum. Like humans, it's all about the momentum because their late game is pretty trash, all things considered. So if they don't have that momentum and they can't end the game, then they just die to so many other civilizations. Hope I'm caught up. I feel like I'm a little bit behind. Okay, now we're caught up. Excuse me. Apologies, guys. This is pretty early. This is fairly early in the morning for me, and my voice tends to sound very phlegmy and slightly rough in the morning. That's why you might hear me kind of clearing my throat a lot. Okay, so Juyhou is doing an interesting approach. He's going to stable and blacksmith to get up to Castle Age. Assume he's gonna be up in the next like minute or so, I'd say, maybe like even 30 seconds. So he could be doing something that I faced versus Rex yesterday, maybe like a knight and siege push with just a really strong eco. That could also happen. In which case, you know, if you're caught off guard by this, this could be really dangerous. If Krvemlik is not able to scout it out. And if you see here, he is literally one tile away from being able to scout this stable. So unfortunately for him, he's going to be playing in the dark. Okay, so it's just vanilla map control. And that's good. Oh, he's going to lose this monk right here, I think. Move it back, move it back, move it back! Either you move it back or you move your scout forward, do something. Okay. Monk moves first. Juyhou just stopped midway, and he didn't realize that relic was taken. Oh. Krvemlik with a weak scout, he lost that. Juyhou lost his own scout too, though. He's making his own scouts. Looks like I'm proven wrong again. So it looks like he just wants to take map control fairly late. Humans, this is something you can do with humans, it's just... Why would you? I mean, you're so behind in the timing for map control. Your opponent's already going to have like 2-3 relics. So by the time you actually do take map control, and you actually make a monk from your monastery that you're going to be making as you advance to Castle Age really late, you'll be lucky to grab like 1 or 2 relics. And only now does he go onto stone. Yeah, I think Juyhou is just kind of throwing away his sort of like well, his aggressive potential with humans. I think he's going to take the more defensive approach, which you don't see with this civilization a lot, just a 2 TC feudal boom into a larger boom when you hit Castle Age. So we have a 3rd TC coming down. He could, I guess, will he be affording a 4th one? No, I don't think so. I think his resource count is just a little bit too high for that, so... It might just be a standard boom imp game. But again, like, doing this with humans... it's just not a civilization I would feel super comfortable doing this with. Then again, I'd say you do have some reasonable options against Chimera. Or at least that's what I would like to say. Because one of the classic killers for Chimera is the Halb Siege Onager army. And that is definitely something that humans can do. But the problem is they don't get siege engineers. So their siege onagers actually aren't nearly as threatening to Khmer as you might think, because Khmer scorpions and even their onagers, when they're fully upgraded, have 9 range. So I mean, if you can exploit the fact that humans don't have siege engineers and just kind of pull back your siege units and just take good engagements. So yeah, it's just a very curious decision. Okay, siege workshop coming in. Forging now. Interesting choice. More scouts being produced. Like, scouts plus siege? I can understand, like, a night siege push, but... Scout siege? What the hell is all that about? Maybe that's just to clear up the monks, but even still, like... Scouts by themselves are not going to really push very well. I mean, at least get Lycav. But no, he just wanted to save the res to get to Imperial Age. He's quite a bit of stone off from being able to... Well, he actually has hand carts, so I guess he isn't super far off, so... He just won't have the Imperial Age timing that I think he could have gotten had he just stuck to 2 TCs and had that forward castle. So yeah, I think he's just I just feel like he's throwing away his advantage as humans. Meanwhile, Krvemlik, he is very heavy on stone. Like, he knows to expect some kind of pressure from his opponent here. Also has defensive siege workshop, because he knows that there is something inside this forward siege workshop. Most likely rams, and he is. Does have it. Researching capped ram. So, preemptive mangonel defense, I like that. It's just a matter, it's really just that matter of that logic of, like, I don't care how much army you have outside my walls. If you can't get inside and you can't do damage to me, then, you know, it doesn't matter. I don't care how much army you have. You might as well just be wasting res at that point. Some knights out here for Krvemlik. I mean, pretty easy to afford with Khmer. Look at that food eco. 1.6k food. It's just him not getting on gold quickly enough, I guess, and just failing to get up to Imperial Age quickly enough. So we're going to see basically a 3-minute Imperial Age advantage time for Juyhou here. That's pretty huge. No! Why did you send Mangonel forward? He got too hasty here, but thankfully he does have one still at home that he can use to defend with. One ram going down. Ooh, is this like a Halb siege push? And he brought the ram inside. Come on. Shoot it, shoot it, shoot it, shoot it. Shoot it! Oh my god. Ooh, he lost one Mangonel. One's still here. Alright, Treb Push is going to be the name of the game here for Juyhou. And some soon-to-be Halbs. There we go. So we got Halbs, we got Rams, we got Trebs. Yeah, I think like a Halb Ram push is something that can work decently well against Khmer. In like early Imperial Age. It's like the things that they would probably open with, like, say, maybe like Hussar opening, or like a bunch of Scorpions. I think that should just fall to the ramp, like Rams and like better and like Halbs. But he's going for, yeah. I mean, if you're facing, you know, Khmer swordsman line is like absolute trash, but still, I mean, even the weakest swordsman can deal with the best halberdiers reasonably well. Oh my god, he's just gonna... Oh. I was afraid he was gonna walk all this army into his base, but thankfully that wasn't the case. So this is a pretty scary army building up, and he is still over a minute away from getting to Imperial Age. The follow-up from Juyhou. So I guess when the swordsman was up here forward, I guess he noticed. At least I think it was forward. That's what I saw. Swordsman forward. He noticed that that's the tech switch that Krvemlik's going to be doing. So his response is going to be his own swordsman. Humans, of course, fully upgraded champions minus supplies. So of course, he's just going to flat out win the infantry engagements there. And unfortunately for Krvemlik, I do not believe he knows what's going on here. And there's no way he can know because there's no swordsman coming out of any of these barracks. So, good of Juyhou to just be able to conceal information. Ooh, some big mangonel shots here. But still, this army is going to get in and they're going to do some serious damage here. Even if these rams go down, Juyhou still has these trebs that he can use to siege his base with. All the momentum is in Juyou's favor here right now. A bunch of ram train coming in. Trebs, which I would probably pack up and just move more forward to take out these TCs and just disrupt the eco more. Another forward castle coming in. He's going for the kill. He's going for the jugular, guys. Unfortunately, so he has the swordsman to be able to deal with these rams and these halbs. So I think he might be able to survive this initial push, but then again, once the better like swordsmen come in, I think. Wait, there's no swordsman. Wow, that's interesting. Because he was teching into it and then he just never got it again. Okay, never mind. So militarily, at least, it looks like Krvemlik's gonna be able to hold the line for the moment. But Khmer two-handed swordsman of all units, they're fully upgraded for Khmer. He's got all the attack upgrades and the 2 defense upgrades for infantry that they get. But he needs to push this castle, and he lost his castle, so he's not gonna... He could purchase like 200 stone, get another castle up if he really feels the need to. But it looks like he's just gonna opt for the rams instead of the trebs. This could be a little bit risky, though. It's unfortunate he doesn't even have capped ram. Yeah, the score, he was like over 1,000 score behind, but now it's really evening up. So his response, Juyou's response, Red's response, instead of going for the swordsman that he began taking into, it's going to be Kipchaks. Still, it's only 2 castles, and he's going to lose one of these. So his production is going to be very, very slow. I would just purchase a couple of 100 stone and just get that second castle up, maybe even just defensively, just to be able to boost production. You need the numbers. And on top of that, you need the upgrades too. Like, these Kipchaks have like no upgrades. Like, Juyou's playing so wishy-washy right now. It's like, okay, I want to go for swordsman to counter what he's doing. I want to go for Kipchaks to counter what he's doing. Now I'm going to be making swordsman to counter what he's doing again. If anything's going to kill him, it's this. But then again, I guess, I mean, the resources don't overlap too much between Kipchaks and swordsman. They're both pretty light on gold. Swordsman costing food and the Kipchaks costing wood. Oh, but now it's time for Juyhou to be facing a very scary push. Bunch of rams, a bunch of infantry coming in. Yeah, all these light cav are gonna get cleared, and now Juyhou is gonna be forced to run back with his Kipchaks. He's making the swordsman. He's got 2-handed swordsman, but he doesn't have the numbers out on the field. Now he's going to lose this castle as well at this rate. Unless he can maybe micro the Kipchaks to be able to take out the rams. Okay, he's got a couple of melee units clearing these out, but Krvemlik has enough support here. Just fire at the rams. You can take the rams out pretty quickly with Kipchaks because of the properties of their arrows. They're just like Chukonu. 0 melee damage on all their arrows. Okay, so he'll save the castle. It's like on a 3rd health right now. He's repairing, so Krvemlik forced to move back here. So he opted not to make that castle, and I think this is going to definitely cost him. He has a decent army, but he's just not able to get the map control back. Juyhou with all the map control right now. Tons of buildings just holding onto it for him. Another castle coming up on the left, denying Krvemlik from his secondary stone and also securing this neutral gold for himself. Champions now in for Juyhou. Now he definitely has, I think, the superior army. Kipchak plus champion. It's a very nice army he's got going. If he wants to counter this, like, he will need to get, like, mass Khmer Scorpions up. And he is starting to produce them right now. Not much in the way of upgrades, though. A Heavy Scorpion's pretty expensive. Honestly, just in the interest of getting those Heavy Scorpions up and running, I would have just played more conservative with these infantry, just hold them back just to play defensively until you can get the eco to get those Scorpions up and running. But no, he's unfortunately chasing a bunch of Kipchaks around the field. That's really not accomplishing much, while Red's champions are just hunting down his infantry as they're coming. Another castle coming for Krvemlik. This is like a desperation castle now. He needs to hold the line. Otherwise, he's going to be dead in the next couple of minutes or so. He's going to lose his siege workshops. He really needs those in order to get these Scorpion numbers up. He has like no space in the back to build them. He would have to delete like a couple of some farms here in order to make space for those siege workshops again. And he's not going to do that. We have champions and Lycav on top of these Scorpions, and they're basically his only hope for being able to hold the line here, and he's losing them. Now Red just needs to make a couple trebs, which he's doing right now. Take that castle down, just raid with the military that he has right now, and it should be good game. Good freaking game. But it's still pretty impressive, just the amount of military that Blue's able to just pump out, despite the fact that, you know, he's losing the front half of his base. Losing all his gold villas, yeah. It's impressive, but he just simply cannot hold the line. Yeah, it sucks. Maybe I should get pro, if I'm just going to be continuing to cast like this. But yeah, 105 swordsmen to 78 champions, yeah. It's all just boiled down to map control. Here I was thinking that Juyhou had thrown away his, like, advantage. Which he kind of did in terms of timing for map control and timing to Imperial Age, but I guess in the end it just didn't matter. So 1-0 in favor of Krvemlik here. KD is somewhat positive in favor of Juyhou. Similar army sizes, but of course, you know, Juyhou just had the higher quality military in the end. Just Krvemlik forced to play with suboptimal units as Khmer. Better economy by quite a bit across the board for Juyhou here. It makes sense with all that map control. He was able to claim all those minerals. And he had a pretty big farm eco at the end. He had like 50 plus farmers. So his economic macro, all things considered, was pretty good. Almost a 5-minute difference in Imperial Age time. Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I didn't really expect to see champions from either opponent either. Just gonna be like a bunch of Scorps and Halbs from Khmer, maybe. Possibly Hazar Scorp. And like, yeah, just like maybe Kipchaks with like Halbs and like maybe Siege Onager later on as well. Because Kipchaks are pretty light on the gold. Definitely afford something like Siege Onager off the back of that if you do it with enough time. Alright, let's go to the draft. Loss with Khmer, victory with Cumans. So what would we see next? So typically, considering this series is so short and, you know, just the behavior of players that I know, is that when you're on the ropes, you typically go for your best civilizations. And what would the best civilization? Professional opinion, not so much my opinion, would probably be Britain's. But then again, I think Juyhou might expect that and might maybe pick Vietnamese, try and counter him. I don't know. It's tricky. I feel like Juyhou has reasonably good counter civs for like almost anything that Krvemlik has left here. Because Byzantines, good all-around civilizations. But if there are two civilizations that I think can put serious pressure on Byzantines, it's definitely the two that Juyhou have right here, both Vietnamese and Ethiopians. Because but what both Ethiopians and Byzantines do very well, what Ethiopians and Vietnamese do very well is eco play, like really reasonably strong eco plays into like a fast imp for like Arbalest and like BBC. And what really helps out both Vietnamese and Ethiopians that are over Byzantines is the fact that they have siege engineers, which Byzantines don't get. So if they were to push with like Arbalest and siege engineers, BBC, and early Imperial Age, the Byzantines could have a bit of a tricky time holding against that because their own BBC again don't have siege engineers, and if they're just like like a skirms, I guess a skirms and like stagger formation might be able to hold the line, but once you start going past numbers of like 4 or 5 BBC, even skirms and stagger formation are going to die, in my experience. So it could get tricky for them there. So I think the matchup's probably going to be Britain's versus Vietnamese though. It's just me rambling about civ dynamics there. Just smushes Britain's then. Oh, I got one of the civs right. The other not so much. Byzantines versus Vietnamese. I guess it was kind of a mind game. Krvemlik maybe wanted to pick Britain's, but he knows that his opponent has Vietnamese, which he believes would be a counter civ to Vietnamese. Sorry, counter civ to Britain's. So he opted to go Byzantines instead. Juyhou probably expected Britain's, picking Vietnamese. Like I said, Vietnamese versus Byzantines, all things considered, like that can be still a relatively even matchup. I think in the short term, I think Vietnamese might be favored, like slightly favored. But in the long run, I'd still say the Byzantines can definitely still win out against Vietnamese with just the more cost-efficient army. The cheap skirms, the cheap halbs, and like the siege rams, which the siege rams are huge. Like never underestimate the power of siege rams against archer civs like Vietnamese. Especially archer civs that don't get siege ram themselves, which Vietnamese don't. So if you play with just the proper like units that your civilization, that the Byzantines offer you, I think definitely they can still very much win. So we're caught up. Let's fire this up with Capture Age. One thing I remember I did not do, because maybe I was chatting up with you guys, was mentioning just the maps and everything. So I should probably do that here. So we got Krvemlik here towards the south side of the map in the blue as the Byzantines, and we got Juyhou here in the red to the north side of the map as the Vietnamese. So the map almost looks like it's like a carbon copy of the last map, at least in terms of like the map layout. Relatively like short to medium rush distance between the players, and like just the layout north and south. And a vulnerable gold for Krvemlik here. That's interesting. So we have nice. We have a decent map here for Krvemlik. Main stone and one of his secondary golds in the back. It's just the rest of his minerals that are kind of in a crap position. But in the short term, he'll be fine resource-wise. Juyhou here, on the other hand, it's kind of the opposite situation. Safe main gold, but he has bad secondary gold and bad main gold. The rest of his minerals also outside, of course, to be expected. Neutral resources, the stones. This stone's pretty much like right in between these two, but easier to access for Krvemlik because it's right by a gate. It's like right outside his gate. This neutral stone closer to Juyhou. This neutral gold closer to Krvemlik. This one closer to Juyhou. Overall, a lot of give and take between these maps. Relic distribution, maybe a bit favored for Krvemlik. He's got one right. He got two basically right outside his doorstep. One that's definitely in between, maybe slightly favoring Juyhou. One clearly in favor of Juyhou, and another that's, I guess, in favor of Juyhou, but he would still have to travel a decent amount just because it's not right by a gate. Hope you see a smush, though. Well, I have seen, the last time I saw a smush happening in this matchup was back in Lords of the Arena. Like, I think it was either late last year or early this year in 2021, between Draken and Viper. Viper had Vietnamese, Draken had Byzantines, and he thought it was a bad enough of a matchup, or at least risky enough of a matchup, that Draken just decided to smush Viper. And he did win, though narrowly, because Viper did defend for quite a while, and he was able to launch some counterattacks that Lizard eventually was able to defend against. Oh yeah, just in case you don't know, I just called him Lizard. Lizard, Draken, those are like the interchangeable. Kind of his nickname. 4 on wood here, only 3 on wood here. That's interesting. So usually when you see 3 on wood, you would either... it would imply maybe like one of two things. You're doing some kind of like unique unit play, and you're kind of just focusing on the food eco first before you get onto the wood eco again. Or you're possibly doing like a faster castle age, and once again just trying to focus on the food eco. But neither are really... Well, unique unit play is not something you want to do as Vietnamese, right? Because rattan archers are not really that much of a castle age unit. It's more of an imperial age unit when they're elite and everything. That's when they're really good. And to get into castle age quicker for either a boom for map control, I guess, can be what's happening for here for Vietnamese. Because saving all the wood that they do on eco upgrades does mean that they have a pretty nice boom and good map control potential. Was that a scout scuffle? Yeah, we're right by the wall, so I could barely see it. Who's gonna win? Is that gonna be red? Yeah, it's gonna be red. Bit unfortunate, but it is what it is. A couple seconds of idle time for each. Nothing too important. Nothing overly major though. Bit of an awkward place to put a lumber camp, on top of it not really being super deep into a forest. It's also right next to a house. I don't like this camp. I would have put it somewhere like here, or even in the same forest, like maybe over here or something. And maybe save this side of the forest for like a TC. Like a TC right here by the stone and by the forest would be like perfect. He's also got 5 on berries. That's interesting. So we have 8 on wood total. Got 5 on berries. Some farms coming down. He's up to feudal age on 25 population. Hope he remembers to put a house down. So yeah, if this were the old like arena meta, like back on Voobly, where it's like 25 plus 2, it would almost certainly be just like a boom play, or possibly a smush play. But of course, Vietnamese is not a smush civ. So the thing is, nowadays, you know, people play like really. I'd say they're a lot more unpredictable because Just because you went up to feudal age on 25 population doesn't mean it's still gonna be a boom. People still end up taking map control, like scouts, spears, monks, everything. Even if they were up to feudal age, even if they were up to like castle age on like 25+2, which I personally heavily disagree with doing, but I mean I just can't deny that a lot of people still end up doing it. Krvemlik here, on the other hand, looks like he's about 2 population or so behind. So yeah, he's... Well, it's 26... It's supposed to be 26+2, but he's like almost in the... Why does it seem like he's so behind in the timing? That's interesting. Strange, because it says that he only has 3 seconds of idle time, but an uptime difference like that would imply that he was a 2 villager difference. That was not the case. That's weird. Maybe I just didn't see the numbers right, but in any case, it's 26+2 as opposed to 25+2. That's just what it is at the end of the day. Stable Blacksmith up for Krvemlik. He's going to be taking some map control. It's just a far cry from how he was playing it against me. He's playing pretty passively and like pretty standard, just with map control and relics. And he was playing like super aggressively versus me. Just find it very interesting. Yeah, but the thing is, he clicked up to feudal age. He was 26 pop. I saw that. So I think what Bialo was saying, canceling a villager early before it came out, could have been what happened. Very ill-advised, but it's possible he might have happened. People normally play passive save and turn, so fine. Yeah, that's fair. Then you had someone like me on the other end of the spectrum, my second game versus Rex, where it was just YOLO organ gun rush into Fast and Fatorious. I definitely gave Terror a very entertaining, and his chat a very entertaining game to watch. I siege tower, castle drop the Spanish. Yeah, that's super brave against Spanish, because they can build stuff so fast. They can build a tower really quickly to deny that. Unless maybe you were Sicilians or something, then you can build your castle pretty quickly. 2 TC, okay. We're in Castle Age. And it looks like we had some inefficiency from Juyhou 2. Because if you're 25+2, ideally the uptime is like, I believe 1425. And that was something more like 1445, 1450, I think, if I saw so. He had quite a bit of idle time heading up to Castle Age, it seems. But he's starting his boom, and look at that wood bank. That's the nice thing about Vietnamese here. The wood savings, of course. The wood savings early. Although I will say, in my opinion, I think the wood savings that Vietnamese get is a little bit overrated. Because at the start, especially because consider the fact that he only grabbed horse collar, double bit axe, and now just bow saw. That's only 225 wooden savings. That's certainly nice. But I mean, a civ like Japanese, for example, by going by those numbers, would have a pretty comparable boom as well. Like, they save 200 by doing the mill, 2 lumber camps, and a mining camp play. So, it's not... And I feel that by the time you start grabbing these other eco upgrades like heavy plow and like possibly even gold mining if you wanted to go that route, or a heavy plow, you know, by the time you kind of get those up, like, you've already established most of the farm eco that you probably were gonna establish anyways in Castle Age, and so, you know, your wood income's already gonna be pretty big. So I don't know. I just feel like you wouldn't. I just feel like the wood savings isn't as impactful as people, I think, might think, just because of like the timing, just like the timing that you get those wood savings. Like the most impactful wood savings is just the 225 at the start of Castle Age, and then afterwards is like the value of those wood savings just diminishes more and more until finally it's almost like nothing, just because you have a big wood income anyways. That's just my opinion. Yeah, Zarathak. I've warmed up to Vietnamese more in recent months, but I still wouldn't say, yeah, I'm not gonna go so far as to say go like the Viper route and say like it's the best, like it's my favorite arena civ. It's far from it. Vietnamese is like a solid B tier, and for me that's about as high as they go. Maybe they could break like low A tier, but yeah, definitely nothing more than that. I think their weakness to like say like Halb siege, like full Halb siege pushes, I think is just too big to ignore. And also even like to monks, like a full monk play. Vietnamese, you typically don't want to smush civilizations that have good ecos, but I'd say Vietnamese eco isn't like the best there is. It's only like okay, and plus they don't get heresy, so I think they're definitely a civ that's relatively safe to smush. Something I was gonna mention here, what I don't like here. This is something I see. Even this is something I've seen even from well, players from this skill level, but also even some higher level players like 1800, 1900. I've seen them do this sometimes. If you opted to boom, and you upped with market and blacksmith, why are you also investing and wasting resources into buildings for map control? Like, I just don't understand why you would do this and hurt your boom. This is like... So once again, this is going back to Juyhou's kind of like wishy-washy behavior. Like last game, it was kind of wishy-washy behavior regarding military, going back and forth from Kipchaks to champions to Kipchaks to champions. And now here it's him going back and forth boom game into map control game. Like why do this? You're just delaying your uptime. You're just hurting yourself. So yeah, I'd say the biggest piece of advice I could probably give you guys, if you're playing, just when you commit to a certain build and a certain strategy, you really need to follow through with that. So if you went for a boom build, you need to commit to that boom. Don't backtrack and try to go map control as well, because first and foremost, you're going to be behind in map control. And, you know, by the time you actually do get all this army up to be able to take map control, your opponent's already going to have a relic lead. And look at this, Krvemlik already has 3 relics. Probably even going to grab 4. There's only 1 archer defending here. This monk's going to grab this conversion. So yeah, there was like almost no point in doing this. Juyhou is just... I think he's just throwing this very badly. This is just a very bad decision. Something I would never, ever recommend doing. Krvemlik, on the other hand... I feel it's pretty interesting how... I'm surprised how low his resource bank is, considering that... Oh, it's because he has a mountain of villagers queued. Just DQ, yeah, he's DQing, just DQ all these villagers. That's a very late wheelbarrow in my opinion. Just DQ some of these villagers and just go up to Imperial Age. And you can just DQ like 3 villagers and you have enough res as Byzantines to get to Imperial Age. Alright, now he's up. I wanted to say Juyhou was not far behind, but look at that gold count. He got on gold way too late. So, yeah, this is too many farms if you're just doing 3 TCs in my opinion. You can go up to like a farm count of like 40 something, but you don't want to do that all in one fell swoop. You want to do something like maybe 30 to 35 at the start. Like 30 farms at the start, maybe. and then start focusing on the gold income. And once you have like between 12 to 15 gold villagers taking gold, then you can probably start focusing on farms again. You can probably work up to like 40, or the 40 farms that Juyhou has here. But unfortunately, he didn't do that, and now he's forced to market abuse his way up to Imperial Age. Because he's got to know that his opponent is up to Imperial Age. It's Byzantines. They're bound to be up to Imperial Age pretty quick. They're fairly quickly. He's going to be behind about a minute and a half for Imperial Age. That could be all the difference here. Second Siege Workshop coming in, some ranges coming down. Play is going to be, what is that, Halb Ram? Interesting choice. It could definitely work. In fact, maybe you could even skip the Halbs entirely and just go full Siege Ram. Just to punish a player who's going to be opening archers, or like skirmishers in early Imperial Age. Sometimes having that someone wants to go range blacksmith forgets barracks, so it makes... Yeah, but you saw what Juyhou was doing last game with Cumans. When he was, as he was on his way, as he was about to click up to Castle Age, he built that stable in blacksmith because he wanted to take map control. So I don't think it was just a matter of, I don't think it was a matter of him forgetting to put down the barracks. I think it was very likely just him seeing that his opponent was taking map control and him wanting to join in the party. But he arrived to that map control party very late, and it didn't pay off. And speaking of not paying off, I thought Krvemlik got 4 relics. He got all 5. So this was even more of a waste. Arbalest? Against Vietnamese? That is very brave. I'll tell you that. Krvemlik is very brave to do this. So you got skirms from Vietnamese, very good skirms running into Arbalest from Byzantines. Not something you see every day. I suppose Arbalest play could work if you take advantage of the fact that you have Siege Ram as well. But even Juyhou's even preparing for this. He's massing up mangonels, probably soon to upgrade to onagers in the near future. Taking this neutral gold. Another castle to the right side of his base to be able to secure that stone. Yeah, I agree that Skirm is the better opening. Guess I think there's a risk with anything that Byzantines like open with here against Vietnamese, because open Arb, you could die to Skirm Vietnamese. If you open Skirm though, you'll probably have the advantage early, but once Imperial Skirm comes in, things can be kind of tricky for you. Because you would have to go heavily into production to be able to fight that, because your skirms are at least cheaper, you can spam them easier, and you probably have to take advantage of the fact that you have Siege Ram access, whereas Vietnamese don't. So that's probably what you'd have to do. Some Bombard Cannons coming in. First, Bombard Cannons, one of, if not the most important units on Arena nowadays. I like this move from Krvemlik. If you realize you're kind of behind in the map control and you just feel like your opponent has like a better military, grab Fortified Wall, especially his Byzantines. 4,200 HP, 5,600 HP that your opponent has to punch through. It's like trying to punch through a castle before you... Almost like punching through a castle before your opponent's actually able to get into your... Be able to get into your base and do damage. Imp Skirm and Arbalest fight. This is not good for Krvemlik. Got onagers here. He needs to spam skirms like there's no tomorrow right now. Just forget about the Arbalest. DQ the Arbalest. Just keep spamming skirms. He's getting onager of his own. Normally I would say that that's a risky move if your opponent has onagers that have siege engineers, but considering that he also has cannons out, and we're not really seeing any... We don't see any cannons from Juyhou at the moment. I'd say maybe that's not as big of a risk as it might be. But he is producing a couple cannons right now. And he's going to be guessing he's going to be racing to get siege engineers now. He has the wood to get siege engineers, not quite the food count though. I think maybe I would just hold back on the imp skirm production for a little bit. Or maybe even buy like 300 food, just get siege engineers real quickly. Ooh, it's a glancing blow that almost made contact. Full contact. Alright. Bomber cannon going down. Juyhou was a little overzealous with moving that BBC forward. No! He almost ate a huge onager shot here. But more cannons in the back. Looks like we're seeing a scout switch. I'm assuming it's going to be light cav in the near future, and possibly some armor upgrades too. Huge fight with skirms. Huge fight with skirms and BBC at the moment. Oh no, he already got siege engineers. I'm stupid. And this is like, if Byzantines have any weakness at all, it's just this kind of play where you're matching them like ranged unit for ranged unit, which is because that's just something Byzantines like to do in early Imperial Age, just because they're, it's just like probably the best option they have. Just matching them ranged unit for ranged units with like just better siege, like bombard cannons and like onagers that have siege engineers. So that this is where they can definitely struggle some. But I say that as Juyhou is slacking in military production. I think he's just focused on getting too much getting siege out and like more tech out, that he's just slacking on the production. I think he just needs to pull back a little bit, mass up more, get more military buildings out. There's only 4 ranges. That's not enough. It's 4 ranges against the 7 ranges of Krvemlik right now. That's not good. Even if you do have the statistically better units, just the sheer production and the cheapness of the Byzantines trash units, I think, could overwhelm you here. Yeah, I agree. ARBs could only work with that kind of like fast uptime. But the thing is, like, considering the fact that Juyhou wasted so much res in the mid game and kind of delayed his uptime as a result, I think it probably ended up working better for Krvemlik than he might have realized. At some point though, I think he needs to just drop the Arbalest altogether. Maybe just commit to the skirms. Actually, maybe. Okay, he's making Hussars. Byzantine Hussars not the best, but at least they do get all the armor upgrades, so they'll still be able to tank a decent amount of imp skirm fire here. What I would do just to finish off this trifecta is just siege ram. Just get siege rams out. Just make as many as you can. You have tons of wood in the bank to be able to spam siege rams too. BBC Micro is not looking the best for Juyhou here. He's not able to take that onager out before he took a shot and took a bomber cannon out. And we have 3 extremely injured bomber cannons here. If he takes another one of those shots, he's going to be losing a ton. He's going to be losing a ton here. Ooh, glancing blow against the onager. Couldn't wipe it out. Numerical superiority for Byzantines here. This is just the beauty of the Civ. They can just outlast you, outlast you, just the fact that their military is so cheap. You got light cav coming here. Not the best upgraded light cav for Vietnamese, but they're at least doing something, I guess. Wiping out some villagers, repairing this castle. This castle is going to go down. I would grab hoardings at this point, honestly. 5 bombard cannons, which are probably going to get sniped by this Hussar charge right now. There's nothing good defending these bomber cannons. Oh my god. This is a disaster for Juyhou right here. Losing all your siege. Not only is that super expensive, now you've lost all your momentum. You've taken that castle down, but you can't follow up. Krvemlik soaring ahead in score right now, and Juyhou just calls the GG. He's just too I think he's just too outmassed. I say that their military strength actually is relatively similar, but I guess it's just the quality of military that's just killing Juyhou right here. Losing all his siege to that Hussar charge. Yeah. And Krvemlik still has siege out here. A lot of trebs, number of BBC. He could follow up with this with a push very quickly. Oh, sorry. That's a mistake. That was a win for Juyhou first game. I wasn't paying attention, and now it's a win for Krvemlik. Sorry, guys. That threw you off. So it's actually 1-1. Largest army, bit better for Krvemlik. Food collected. He had better eco. Juyhou had better eco for food and wood. It makes sense. I mean, him going straight into skirmishers, he definitely had to focus in on like the food eco, especially earlier. Worse for gold, better for stone. Makes sense with those early castles that he made. Epic hands should have gone paladin. Yeah, paladin could have worked too. I mean, if all you're seeing is just skirms from your opponents, I mean, any kind of cavalry will do, honestly, though. So Hussar served perfectly fine. Loss with Vietnamese, victory with Byzantines. I think it's very likely that we're going to see Britons from Krvemlik. I feel that neither Poles nor Ethiopians are going to be especially well equipped to deal with Britons. Ethiopians, I think, would probably be the safer pick. But still, even Ethiopians have some really good archery of their own. But the issue is just the same thing. It's a similar thing I said with Vietnamese too. If Britons hold on to a position like a castle or two, they were to park a bunch of Arbs or longbowmen underneath those castles, and they have like onagers underneath there, it's going to be really difficult to push Britons off of that. So I think it's going to be in Ethiopians' best interest to just get some advantage early, like if just Halb ram push, just a full siege, or even a full siege ram push if they see that Britons are just doing nothing but ranged units. Just try to wipe them out early. Because I think the later the game goes, the more and more it's going to be favored for Britons. So I think it's going to be Britons versus Ethiopians, personally. Poles like their anti archer capabilities I think are like probably among the worst in the game. Like no last armor for your cavalry, your skirms don't get last armor. You do get siege ram, but that's about it. It's the waiting game here. Wonder if one of them is taking a break right now. At least for Juyhou, I'm kind of curious that he ended up banning Burgundians as opposed to something like Britons instead. I do agree that I think Burgundians had that Flemish Revolution play definitely can be annoying to play against. But I mean, if you have civs like Vietnamese and Ethiopians that can just pressure the heck out of them early, now you've seen from previous show matches that have happened recently, as well as MOA 6, that the way you kill Burgundians is just stop them from just pressure the heck out of them with like Arbalest before they can get like either their paladins up and running or just like the full Flemish Revolution up and running. So it's curious, and I think maybe that choice is definitely going to be coming to bite him at this point. Because neither of his remaining civs are especially well built to deal with Britons. Yeah, without a doubt, at least one of them is taking a break right now. I'll be right back, guys. Okay, I'm back. Have they started now? Still on break, I see. Let me just double check on AOE2.net. Krvemlik. Yeah. So these two sets right here, neither of them had finished. And so theirs is going to be decided today. I think these two guys, were tomorrow. So I'm probably going to be testing those guys. I think it was these two, Brady's and TM Danilo. So we'll see. Well, if they're going to be a little bit while longer, I think I'll probably just take this time to have a proper actual breakfast. Thing is, I was hoping to actually get up earlier than I did this morning, and actually be able to have a proper breakfast before I actually started casting this. But I ended up waking up bit too late, so I just ended up grabbing like a quick snack from the kitchen instead, and that's all I've been riding on. Maybe I'll even mute myself really quickly while I eat for a little bit. Hopefully by the time I'm finished, or at least close to it, then they'll be starting this third game. No record on AoE's zone. Nothing in the lobby. Maybe I should message him. What's that? Hopefully I didn't message him right when he was starting his game or something. Oh, I ended up doing that. So, apologies, Krvemlik, if that was... Yeah, hopefully I didn't just distract him here. Alright, so we're back live, guys. Oh, never mind. That's just the lobby bugging out. Yeah, that's just the lobby. So it looks like I didn't message him when he was busy after all. Still that. I'm not sure if this is what I would have to do, but let's just maybe relaunch it. Maybe that'll snap the game out of it. No, it did not snap the game out of it. That's slightly frustrating. Nothing from him either. What? They're playing Byzantines versus Vietnamese again? What the hell? Huh? I have no idea what's going on here. I mean, this is not the same map. Yeah, this... What is going on? This is so strange. Like, I have no idea what's going on right now. Why are they playing the same civs again? Oh, an admin. What was the issue? Wonder what could have been the issue. Well, whatever it is. Ah, okay. That's fair. Well, we'll be seeing this matchup again. And maybe both players might edit their playstyle here, just to account for the fact that they saw how they how their opponents played. So we already talked about the civs, so I guess the most important thing, just look at the maps. And unfortunately for Juyhou, it looks like his map is nowhere near as good as the previous one. Just a back secondary gold, but everything else is forward. Forward main stone, secondary stone obviously bad, one of the other secondaries obviously bad. Main gold is not good. So if Krvemlik were to do some kind of like not necessarily fast imp, but more like faster imp stuff by abusing the cheap imp to get up to Imperial Age quickly, just have a fort or something like a forward castle happening here, Juyhou could be in a ton of trouble here. But Krvemlik's map, on the other hand, in turn is, well, it's not the best either. All his minerals except for his main gold, which is also missing a tile, just like what happened with me in my game 1 versus Rex yesterday. But yeah, that's the only thing that's safe in the back. Settings were wrong. Oh my god. Did I seriously not Yikes. That sucks. Hopefully they fixed it this time. I mean, if the first game they played, like the very first game they played in the set was also standard victory, I mean, they're just glad neither player got like all 5 relics, because that would have been a disaster. So I'm guessing with that, the score is actually not in favor of Krvemlik then? Juyhou won the first game, the Cumans versus Khmer game. And so if they're redoing this matchup, that means that previous game they played was null and void. So we're back to 1-up for Juyhou. Ooh, looks like his build was not... Looks like his wood income was a little short. And this might be the culprit here. A villager that most likely would be getting stuck. Because she's not on the other side. And also maybe one too many farms. Possibly. If you still have a bunch of herdables to take and you have 4 deer, which is guaranteed for this clown arena, I don't think you need. I think you can just get away with 2 farms, and yeah, he just ended up delaying his. Just ended up hurting his build a little bit, but I don't know. There's always a way it could have been worse, I guess. So far the game is panning out exactly how it did last time. So a boom build for Juyhou, I think even on the same like Vil population, and a map control build from Krvemlik on one higher population actually. So he went 27 plus 2. 27 plus 2, yeah, that's the kind of thing I like. It's like 27 plus 2 is definitely, I think, the minimum uptime that you should be doing as a civilization that doesn't have like an early eco bonus if you're taking map control. So if that has an eco bonus like Vietnamese would probably want to be could push that to like a 26. But I mean, if you have like a wood bonus, for example, like Vietnamese does, I'd rather just go up maybe on the same time, like 27 plus 2, and just have extra res to work with. Like maybe I can slam down that 3rd TC more quickly than I would be able to with other civilizations. A lot of wood production for Juyhou going on right now. Although some of these villagers are definitely getting stuck, like this one and this one. That's gonna hurt. 8 farms going for Krvemlik. Decent for if you're going scouts. I'd say maybe I would want to push like 9 or 10 usually if I'm going map control, but this is fine. So far, it looks like Juyhou has just come into the boom, but I mean, this up until this point, it's not really saying much, because we saw that once he established his economy last game, that's when he went for like the barracks and range to try and get map control, so this could still very much happen, which I highly, 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 highly disapprove of, but I'm just saying it could happen. Multiplayer lobbies almost always this. Oh my god. Well, I feel like that hasn't happened to me though. I mean, the settings that I used for my lobbies to create lobbies for the practice games that I had for Clan Arena for the Silver League. Actually, when I hosted them, like I stayed on Conquest. It stayed on Clan Arena. It stayed on Conquest, and so I have no idea what happened. Maybe it's just a random thing that can happen. I don't know. Let's not dwell on it too much. I mean, it happened, and there's not really a whole hell of a lot we can do about it, and that's why they're redoing this game right now. Monk's coming out here for Krvemlik. He's got a couple spears here. The thing I'm not liking the way he's doing this is, well, actually, if he's killed the opponent's scout, yeah, he killed it because he has 0 military. Thing is, if a scout were still prowling about, for example, I would not just have the monk and the spear so far apart. If you know your opponent's scout is still outside, like somewhere like roaming around the map, I would have the spears patrol, like kind of guarding the monk. Like you have the spears out, you make the monk, and you like group them together in a box and have them move out at once. And so that if the enemy scout does appear, you have the spears right there to be able to defend that monk. But considering the fact that Juyhou scout got taken out, I guess it's not a big deal here. So far, no investment in any kind of military buildings for Juyhou. Let's just hope he kind of learned from his mistake. Well, in that regard, and also maybe the mistake of his eco balance, because, yeah, don't go so overboard on the farms. Just enough to be able to run your TCs and, like, to be able to save up for Imperial Age comfortably, like 30 farms or so, and then start focusing on the gold income. And then, if you want more farms after that, you can do that, but only after you establish your gold income. 4th TC coming in. Looks like we're going for a very greedy boom approach here, guys. You know, I was thinking by keeping that many villages on stone, he was just going to go for like rattan archers in Imperial Age. Guess that's not the case. Well, not straight rattan archers, anyways. Yeah, I like this. If you're building a late TC for whatever reason, whether, you know, you just forgot about it, or maybe you were putting on aggression and you just need to boom up behind it, or you're just going fourth TC, which of course is going to be up like between 19 and like 21 minutes, depending on your timing on things, you want to be building it with like 5-6 villagers just to get it up quickly. Ooh, he's got heavy plow. I like that. Well, maybe not for all the farms, but at some point he did grab heavy plow. That is going to be very nice for the boom. Something that this is, even though it's not for all farms, this is at least preferable to some that I see even like pros doing that I don't necessarily approve of, where it's like they establish almost like their entire farm eco of like 30, 35, maybe 40 farms, and then without heavy plow. And once they get that amount of farms, only then do they grab heavy plow, which I don't really understand why they did that. I mean, sure, heavy plow does increase the carry capacity of farmers, and so it does make them more efficient technically, but I mean, if you have like 40 or something farms running, like you're gonna have a big food income anyways. You might as well just work your way up to Imperial Age and then just start getting heavy plow on your way up. So that when you refresh all your farms, then, well, you first and foremost you can get to Imperial Age more quickly, and then afterwards you can also benefit from heavy plow. Once those farms with horse collar die off, then you can rebuild them, and they get the benefit of heavy plow. That's just a little ramble for me. 14 villages on gold. Yeah, that's really solid gold production. That's what you need. Triple stable. Okay, so only now is he investing into some kind of military. Obviously, this won't be for contesting relics and contesting map control, because now all the relics are gone. Oh my god. 15 villagers on stone. What the hell is going on? Like I think he just wants to go instant rattan archers. I feel like Byzantines is like one of the worst civilizations you could be doing like a straight UU play most of the time. Oh. Here I was thinking maybe he would be going aggressive. It's not the most defensive castle there is. I mean, I was expecting him to place it inside, but this is still relatively defensive. And I think at the end of the day, this actually might be smart, just because I think Juyhou at this point has to realize, he realizes that his other minerals are not in the most ideal locations. So it's nice to be able to secure as many of them as possible. And we saw, like in the last game, he actually placed 2 castles pretty early. So if he places one here, securing this gold, and maybe another one like somewhere around here, securing both that neutral gold and that stone, I think he could be in a pretty good position. Of course, he has to take care not to just has to take care of the fact that Byzantines can push very early with that early Imperial Age, which Krvemlik is about 50 seconds away from. Yeah, I just feel like the light cav choice is a little strange. Like, if you just wanted to get a position to be able to build a castle, your opponent went scouts themselves, you could have just made a couple of spearmen. There's no reason for you to, like, invest into the stables. And once again, just kind of needlessly delaying the Imperial Age, I think. But it is possible with 3 stables, like a solid farm eco. I think it's almost 50 farms, man. Wow, that's crazy. I just didn't count these last 4 down here. It's 50. So that's a huge food income. And yeah, I guess maybe if he's expecting like a skirm opening from his opponent, which is more or less what he went for last time, then I guess maybe he's thinking the light cav opening could kill that. They're anticipating the same stuff. Both sides are anticipating the same strategies that they saw from each other's opponent last game. So, Juyhou here went for Imp Skirms. Oh wait, never mind. Looks okay. Now he's going for Imp Skirms. So the Onager tech is definitely going to help Krvemlik out. But in terms of, so he's getting the better end of this deal. He's getting the better end of this deal, whereas Juyhou might be opening with the wrong unit. He's going to go Imp Skirms straight into a bunch of Onagers that are likely going to be protected by some Halbs in the near future. But at the end of the day, I just see this kind of devolving into another, like, kind of like a siege skirm war again in the long run. Or possibly maybe just Onagers and then maybe Hazar, because we did see Krvemlik go for that as well. Skirmishers coming out. Yep, nice position for this castle. So Krvemlik knows that this is here. So if he wanted to, maybe he could try to push up here, because all of Juyou's army is down here. Well, except those Lycav now, but his like main army is all down here. So if you're pushed there, he has to move all the way up to try and engage that. I think that would be a smart move. Yep, just as I suspected, it's another siege skirm war. Crossbow, skirmisher, ring archer armor. The whole shebang, guys. So we got Light Cav and Imp Skirm, probably some BBC to go along with that. Yeah, he's getting chemistry now. Strengthening up the skirms and unlocking bombard cannons. Krvemlik already has chemistry for his bombard cannon to get bombard cannons hit out. But it's gonna be dangerous moving out with these Light Cav that are about to have full armor upgrades out if he's just going skirms. Yeah, and he's just completely dedicating himself to the skirm production. This could be tricky. Ooh, that villager's about to die a horrible death. Three BBC, 3 Onagers, a couple Spearmen. Not the most terrifying army in the world, especially when it's just mostly siege and it's unprotected. It almost feels like, are they going to be focusing on different fronts? Like, Juyhou trying to push from down here, where Krvemlik's trying to push up here. And now it looks like this time, almost like Krvemlik's the one slacking on military production. Last game it was Juyhou. He's busy getting the techs. Okay, he's getting pike and squires, chainmail. So yeah, it's gonna be a nice cost-efficient army from Byzantine. Skirms, Arbs, and Halbs is the core, with some Onagers, BBC as like the support. I believe that Treb is just barely in range of those BBC. Ooh, yeah, one BBC went out. Nope, just barely outside. If Byzantines had siege engineers and he got that, I think he would be able to reach that BBC, but unfortunately he can't. Is he about to? I think. Careful. These skirms and stagger formation. They're doing 3 damage a pop to these BBC, so they're a lot more dangerous than I think your average skirm. He techs skirm, but he wasn't really making any. Yeah, he's just, oh my god. 20 Arbalest queued. So this could either go very badly or very well for him. Again, early siege engineers, like I love to see it. Although he's not really taking advantage of his ranged advantage here. Be careful. Looks like these guys aren't particularly good at BBC micro, but still. With considering there's so much army kind of clashing each other, I don't think even good BBC micro players would be able to manage this super well. Okay. Got relatively even-sized armies. Okay, now it looks like Krvemlik's starting to lose some population here to these light cav with full armor upgrades. Where? Oh my! He only has 1 on gold. Come on, man. You need, even if you're spamming just Byzantine trash, you need the upgrades that they need gold. So you need to just get back on gold, man. Okay, he's claiming this one out here, but this castle took some heavy damage. Hopefully he's able to hang on to that, otherwise he's not going to have that gold access out there. He has so much wood and food. I would just grab hoardings, honestly. Just make your castles extra beefy. Some nice BBC and decent onager shots going on right now, taking out a lot of those imp skirms. Juyhou has a really solid economy, but it's like his military production just does not seem very strong. Like, look at this. Like, there's barely any skirms queued in these ranges. Well, that explains it. Elephant switch. But unfortunately for him, though, Krvemlik had already teched pikemen, so the Halb switch is not going to be too far off from him, so he should be able to see this. I cannot believe I keep on missing this stuff. Elephants, not something you see from the Rise of the Raja civilizations too much, except maybe from Malay, since their elephants are so cheap and they can act as really good support for their other units. The Vietnamese battle elephants, they're fully upgraded. They have Shatras. They got all the upgrades they can get. Yeah, this... What's saving Krvemlik right now is the fact that Juyhou did not try to, like, mass the elephants before he charged. So now that he sees this, he can get the Halb switch going right now. There's not a lot of elephants going right now, so... You know, Juyou's not going to have the most effective push right now. What is he doing? Oh my god. He actually managed to kill off a BBC with using his villagers. I'm not so sure he'll be able to get... Will he be able to get this one as well? Alright, we got some Halbs in the mix too. So we got a bunch of fighting going on down here and a siege going on from the north. That castle's under siege. That's a Byzantine castle though. It's going to take a while for that thing to go down. He needs to send some BBC over here, I think. Just try and get at those Trebs. Or... Alright, he has a BBC and 2 Trebs pounding at it. I think this castle is going to go down faster than I might expect. Very interesting choice here from Krvemlik. He's doing a super tight wall off with his military buildings on the off chance that his opponent actually does somehow get in. A little disappointed that he's not getting fortified wall this time. I mean, he got that pretty early last game. He's able to hold him for like a decent amount of time. He's not getting it this time. Light cav switch coming in. I suppose that can do a good job at sniping the siege, because there's nothing like anti-cavalry out for Juyhou here. So if he just sends a bunch of light cav or Tsar into this, like, Juyou's not going to be able to clear them up quickly enough before all the siege is dead. Got elephants pounding away at this gate. This gate is open, technically. So you can probably just move them out. Maybe park one elephant inside there. Or you can actually still fit units inside. Just have them run in through there, I guess. Six barracks for Krvemlik right now. Not bad. But I would at this point in the game, I would probably want to go at least up until 10. Just to get a good, nice, healthy help spam going. Because you see your opponent attacked elephants, you know, the elephants are definitely gonna just keep on coming. He also needs at least maybe 10 to 15 more farms because, I mean, you're spamming both, actually even more than that. Halb, skirms, and light cav, all costing food. You need like, at that point you probably need like 60 plus farms. A couple of light cav coming in for Juyhou to try and raid. You got a Halb here defensively though. I say defensively, he's just pathing around the barracks like a dumbass and just trying to get to the front. Well, actually, no, it's not the Halb being dumb, it's just the way the that building was placed. It's blocked off. This one light cav in the back is probably... These two light cav in the back are probably going to get a lot of value, guys. A lot of value. 102 villagers and falling for Krvemlik. Well, there's one civilization that can definitely hang on in spite of having like a suboptimal villager population. It's definitely Byzantines. The cheap trash. I mean, I've played games with Byzantines where I'm only at like 95 to like 100 villagers, and I still just have like mountains of resources in the bank just because of how cheap their military can be. But still, I mean, Juyhou is claiming the entire map right now. Buildings everywhere, castles everywhere. And he doesn't have any more castles of his own now. We could be seeing like some kind of siege push down here on this side while Krvemlik's trying to do damage control on at the top. But I do not believe he's going to be able to hold this, man. This is simply too much army. This is too much siege, I think. His relics are out. 5 relics are out. And this gold is not going to be safe to take for very much longer. Yeah, bombard cannon out. That could harass the gold miners, and he truly will have no gold left. So he'll only have trash to defend at that point. And at that point, considering... Look at Juyou's bank, man. Still tons of food and gold. So if he sees that his opponent... Okay, never mind. I was going to say, if he saw that his opponent was only with trash at that point, he can make a champ switch. Vietnamese champs, nothing to write home about, but they will still slaughter trash en masse. Just flood those and just finish your opponent off. That could definitely have been the approach he took. Was blue winning before the relic victory? Yeah, so what happened was Juyou had, I think, the map control. Not to the extent he had in this game, but he had map control. But he just slacked in the military production. He took a couple of bad engagements, and then it's like he forgot to queue more units. And then, where Krvemlik was a lot more diligent with producing more military. And so he was able to push Juyou back to his base, and then he was about to push him, so... Yeah, definitely. Hey, man. Nice going. Yeah, it's a shame that the first Vietnamese versus Byzantines game was on bad settings, because it looked like you were in a really comfortable position to win that one, and it could have been a decider game next time. I would have liked to have seen that, like, maybe the Britons versus Ethiopians kind of matchup, which I thought was going to be the most likely matchup that we would see. Well, ended up casting for quite a bit longer than I would have anticipated. Yeah, I thought he called GG before I realized it was relevant. Yeah, it's so strange. Like, yeah, it's just DE lobbies being stupid. Just if it was set at Conquest before, and the lobby when you make a new one, it's just defaulting to standard victory, like that. That's the kind of stuff that should not be happening, man. So it looks like we won't be meeting in the set, unfortunately. But well played, man. Hope you at least had fun in the tournament. I won versus my opponent yesterday, and so before I can face your opponent, Juyou, I have to get through either Yebin, David, or a quick wall. So with that in mind, guys, I think maybe I might just call it here. There's also server maintenance happening, so I don't think I would be able to even, you know, be able to play for very long. Even though it says 3 hours or so before server maintenance, I've had situations where, even though there's still like 2 or 2.5 hours left, like the servers were still just GG. Like I could not start any games, so I don't want to risk that. So I guess I'll just call it here, guys. I guess I will be back tomorrow to cast the set that's happening there. I believe that's the that's this set. Gradius versus Danilo. I think it might have been this one. Yeah, I'm fairly sure it was that one. So yeah, it's going to be happening at the same time tomorrow, 17 GMT. Oh, sorry, 16 GMT, 16 GMT. So expect to just watch out for my stream then. I'll definitely be casting that. Until tomorrow, guys. See ya.